trust issues are common and valid. We can address them to explainable AI approaches with proper human oversight and gradual automation. And as we can see, like this pragmatic approach, which will acknowledge to like consider the challenges, address them systematically, and AI adoption isn't a problem alone, right? It requires equal attention to people, processes, and the culture. Let's talk about how future is looking, right? There's several key to shape AI in DevOps, like generative DevOps represent today's evolution of code assistance. A system can and like system that can create entire application from requirement specification to delivery. Autonomous platform will take self-healing to next level with infrastructure that not can only repair itself but also continuously optimize for changing condition. Collaborative AI will work across delivery pipelines and sharing context and insight. Synthetic operation will improve testing and training by generating realistic scenario by what is observed in production. And DevOps Copilot will provide a conversational interface to all DevOps functions and complex operations. In that way, a future of DevOps isn't just automated, but it's also intelligence. So which AI-driven DevOps tool or service anybody is excited about to try out at least? Anyone want to share with the audience?
I haven't had a chance to use Claude Code much. I like the agent-based ones are pretty good, but I tried that one. It's supposed to be pretty good.
Cloud Code, okay.
I think it's also a little better too. Like when you start with stuff, we have at my work we have about a 2.5 million line PHP code base. Throwing Claude or any of those tools at it, they tend to fall over pretty fast.
So cloud is not able to handle that.
Claude.
Cloud.
No, Claude.
Anthropic, yeah, cloud.
Well, I mean, it can do stuff with it, but it doesn't quite get it right. It actually needs to refactor two classes to break a dependency between them, and it'll generate sometimes something worthwhile, and sometimes junk.
Hallucinating, yeah.
I don't even know hallucinate. It just doesn't come up with a solution that's very good. Like
Makes sense.
Break the dependencies. It's sort of half does.
That's good. Anybody from here want to try anything in mind to try out? Anybody tried Codex yet?
The background agents that Kirsty just came out with was cool, but it's kind of similar to Claude Code.
And JetBrains Juni is actually pretty decent. It's
Really?
agent-based built into JetBrains on there that you can pick your LLM and you can pick between.
Just like VS Code to Copilot, right? You can pick any model you like.
It's their agent mode. It's not just a chat. It is proactively goes and tries to write your code and run the tasks, look at errors, rerun them, and tries to get to your goal. So you give it a goal and it tries
Nice.
to work towards it.
Does it have community subscription or we need pro for that?
I'm sorry?
The JetBrains one.
I think you could pay for it if you want to use it more than once in a while.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. JetBrains is always ahead of everybody. That's why I was interested. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, guys. To summarize our discussion today, here are some key takeaways. AI is transforming DevOps from automated to autonomous, leading to significant improvements in efficiency, reliability, and speed. And it's crucial to start high impact, low risk use cases to demonstrate the value and build momentum. Building skills along this adoption would help in essential, like long-term success. And creating a feedback loop that measures the impact of AI in our continuous improvement and demonstration would lead to higher ROI. Finally, it's important to balance the innovation with pragmatism and focus on real problem with AI to deal with it responsible way. So thank you for attending today. I'll open this for conversation. And yeah, feel free to add me on LinkedIn if you guys want to stay connected. But yeah, let's have some Q&A. Thank you. Yes, Chad.
Yeah. So I'm curious, when you're talking about AI in DevOps specifically, and then you're talking about basically this utopian vision where it's like the AI is automatically fixing and repairing, self-healing. Have you actually seen that working anywhere? Or is there a product that does this? Or are you speaking more generally like this is where it's going, what we're aiming? I'm curious if anybody's seen that.
I've say with cursor, if you use cursor with agentic mode agent, and then choose plot pro.o tilting match or tilting, then it can do that for you. And only prompting is what is important.
Right.
I think I'll ask, hey, generate me a code base that is production ready with all the unit tests, issue 90% success rate, iterate, and give me a end result.
Okay, but that use case is writing new code or developing software. He's talking about DevOps, where we're deploying applications to production and automating the deployment, right?
Right.
Okay.
So
There, specifically, has anybody seen AI, or have you seen AI actually autonomously fixing and repairing itself?
So I believe I haven't experimented. That's my next thing to do. But answer to your latter part, yes, I'm trying to kind of share knowledge where we are going, and resonating with what he said. If you have, let's say, your DevOps infrastructure set up in, let's say, Terraform today at AWS, and you can use AI in terms of like how you can make it better in terms of refactoring, whether it is cost optimization or using a better resource, if you think about, right? AI is it could help you. Hey, here is my Terraform infrastructure for this huge application. We have millions of users. How can I make it better? In last part to it, I think how we do that, it could be basic natural text we talk like in like human, but also we are running towards like prompt engineering today. I think everybody needs to kind of have a course on it, how we can, because what you ask is what AI gives, right? So we need to learn a hacky way of prompt engineering today, as just to resonate what he said. So
The second question to add to that is, you can have all of your tooling integrated, like for example Terraform. As long as you have your Terraform already integrated with Azure, for example, you can run those commands for you interactively. And it's in YOLO mode, which a lot of companies want to disable, but if you have it turned on for even CRUD operations, you can go and do all the things for you and then come back.
That's a good point, right? Like, to me, self-healing, it's like running YOLO.
right.
You've got the keys to production. If you see a problem, go ahead, just fix it.
And it's about training too. Let's take a use case, right? Let's take a basic app, a full stack application, and let's say there is a customer service aspect to it, or some kind of thing where something is broken. You have your chatbot ready. Hey, this is like, you train your chatbot in such a way that he can do some basic operation with minimal risk. You can always like train your model to do like whenever user input this, if it is viable, just go and apply it. It could be it depends on what use case you're dealing with, but some of the aspect could be self-healing into it. Or let's say you have your good UI case or something goes down, your UI component goes down or API goes down. You can have those scripts to rerun this and stand up and stand down instead accordingly.
I'll give you one example there. So you have a Linux limit, file handle limit, and it encounters this error, go and run this command to increase the limit to this much. Don't add more than 10%, right? Those type of rules you can
Triggers, right? In terms of resource increment or different using different resources, that could be an option.
I was thinking about that, like, what if I need is an issue on the code? I was thinking like, yeah, still you could have some self-healing. You could give access and maybe you could try to change it and redeploy it. But you could create a loop. Obviously, you could create a protocol, so you go back with a rollback if we try to change, because it's still a little bit of cost. Because you need a machine trying to
Right.
build it.
Correct.
And I don't know, maybe it's
No control over it.
But you brought up a good point about community, right? So if you have an infrastructure that has 100 nodes, you can say, hey, run only on one, take it out of the pool, try this, if it works, do it, otherwise just try to go back.
With observer scalability, it's easier.
Right.
Because, as you said, like, if we are using that much memory and we know that that process is taking a lot of variables in memory, or you run it a Kafka or something, yeah, you could increase it and definitely it will be easier. But I'm thinking in the self-healing that it will be more like trying to, that was my thing during the presentation. My thing was like,
20,000 line of. Right. I think with everything has limitation, right? Like with proper letting the system know what you figured out, like some aspect, like 10 aspect, you train your model, like do this, do that in terms of resource utilization and to control the cost versus issue. We can still like automate today. As per, I haven't like experiment with it, but my goal is to research into it. So that's why I'm trying to, educate and ask you guys if you have experienced something like this. And
I think there's like,
What AI tools are out there to do anomaly detection? Because I mean, that's the first part if we were going to forge the goal of something.
right. AWS offers some of the machine learning services where you can hook up to those data set. Once you have those, like anomaly, like basically this is one of the like data scientists do, right? When they gather all the issues which we have in the current system, you let your ML models that, hey, this is the issue. Right now, I think I can't remember the name right, but I'll let you know about that AWS service which I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's from experience. That's before those all AI getting crazy. Well, one of my former employer. Just before you get too crazy about this AI thing, one of my former employer have to kind of rule-based AI-driven DevOps, and to answer to fit the self-healing. Self-healing is not going to fix your code. Self-healing going to prevent your crash code deploy, prevent your security for that product, which work really well, but it's rule-based. Remember I say, so I can say for that product, they improve, they can have AI generate more rules. So the rules may be, for example, it's a healthcare industry. So maybe they pass a new law that you need to have certain kind of tracking. If it's not in the tracking, just auto rollback. So that will work. The challenge of that is nowadays many infrastructure, the deployment script, the Terraform, is checked into the source control. Give AI power to change source code, I don't feel comfortable, at least right now. I don't know whether you guys like the AI fix self-healing. I'm going to say change the IP address. No. So still have a checkpoint. But I can see there is a middle ground. Maybe this is AI checking source code. This is the raw source code. And the self-healing expectation cannot say fix everything. No. You just can fix something, learn faster, or even detect new pattern for you, and then recommend this. And if someone approve, put that rules into the rule base, something like that. That's just what I have experienced.
Thank you, Sammy. Definitely having AI generate those rules and having some kind of user control over it would be good. I think we are not there yet. Like, I think most of you agree with us, like, hey, AI, have an agentic solution, do everything, evolve my code into such nice thing into a self-driving mode. It's not there yet, but we always need to put those barricades on to control the risk, basically, right?
I think one thing too, like assuming these AI solutions roll out to work, assumes that your data quality is in the spot it should be. And I think, especially when it comes to the DevOps AI side of things, like, all right, first of all, there's expectation of meantime resolution. It's like, anything ever fully resolved, or should be more meantime innocence, and then from there, it's like, all right, we know where to start. But then again, assuming I'm feeding AI this telemetry or this data to know where to look or know what's going on, like, is that even right in the first place? It's crack and trend out. So.
Great, guys. So I can open a floor if anybody want to talk about any news AI tool out there, any curious question you have for audience. We could learn from each other maybe for 5 minutes. Ryan, over to you.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions? Good.
I think, Thank you, Akshay. I think we have the room until 8:30, so I'm happy to just open it up to kind of like a social 30 minutes. We can chat, and then everybody can kind of head out whenever. But please do make sure to get registered on the GDG community.dev. That's where we'll post all of our events. Next one should be first Monday of July. We might have to push it just because of the 4th of July and everything like that, but we'll see what day it falls on. But please do get registered there. we'll be posting everything up there. But thank you guys for coming. Give a round of applause. Oh, sorry. One more thing.
No, we can applaud for.
So yeah, I'm Chad, I'm one of the co-organizers. If anybody wants to speak, contact one of us and talk if you've got a topic that you want to share. It can be or some Google product or Flutter, mobile development, back-end development, whatever. Yeah, I am curious for a show of hands, how many people are doing DevOps as their primary function every day in the room? Got a couple, 3, 4, 4-ish, 3.5. Okay. And then how about software engineering, just developers? Okay. Primary devs, okay. And then I've worked in a lot of dev shops where we're our own DevOps. So primary function is development, but then we're deploying as well. We've got a mixture of those, show our hands. Okay. And then of the people working on a project, so when he showed the 4 stages of maturity, I think that second stage already had ML in it. My experience has been until you reach a significant scale, you shouldn't really be worrying about any of that. So like most of the companies I've been at, I work at smaller scale companies, it's stage 1. It's just automating scripts, deployments. Who is at a company that is deploying at scale and using any sort of ML or anomaly detection, analytics driven? Can you tell us a little bit about your environment?
So we're a game company. So we do casual casino. We don't deploy code nearly as often as most people, but we change the configuration of our game 8 or 10 times a day. So it is constantly changing. And so we have anomaly detection to see if certain KPIs go beyond certain ranges. I mean, they fluctuate each day, but if one day it's a bit higher than the next, we'll detect that and post in Slack. But it's so complicated. The anomaly detection is automated, but a response to it is not.
How is that automated?
That's our data science team, so I'm not exactly sure. I think we dump everything into probably Redshift and have various things running on it all the time. And our latency is about an hour behind real time, so we're not quite real time. So.
And it posts it to Slack, you said?
Yep.
Like it's just a group you're monitoring and hey, detected something, and then that's a signal for someone to look into.
Yes.
Okay.
But isn't an hour bad though? I mean, like people say, oh, it's not 2 seconds. Sometimes like an hour is fine.
For us, that is fine. Like people, it's not like someone dying or something. I mean, our executives would probably want to know within a second.
Right, sure.
It's all
Yeah. And for the people doing DevOps full time, can you describe a little bit about your environment? Like, do you have something similar to that, some sort of anomaly detection? Anything?
So we have Datadog and
I'm just trying to get conversation.
push the button that says green.
This one, I got now. Does it work?
It kind of off.
So in my company, it's a precious metals company. We also store metals in Shiner, Texas. It's Texas Precious Metals. But we use Datadog in combination with AWS, and we have a lot of infrastructure, so a lot of EC2 instances, ECS clusters. The way that we've automated anomaly detection is we set up alerts within Datadog. It's integrated with AWS, and then if there's an anomaly, we have Datadog integrated with Microsoft Teams. So we get that notification immediately in Teams. The thresholds you can set, you typically know based on what normal day-to-day operations are.
Has some rules-based.
Yeah, there's rules-based. Yeah, exactly. There's also guard duty in AWS, so it's intelligent threat detection, and we also have logs set up to where if guard duty senses that something's wrong, and the severity is guard duty has ratings, so if it's above a 5, if it's mid-range, then you'll get an alert immediately. So there's some ML in there, but it's not ML that we've written ourselves. Yeah.
Are you doing anything? You mentioned certain thresholds in relation to learning. Are you doing anything like SLOs or defining SLIs for that kind of thing?
So what we'll typically do is say like, okay, if there's an ECS service, right, like, and the CPU usage is above 50% for like, like more than, 15 minutes or so, then like shoot off an alert. Or if like the host is not reachable, then like shoot off an alert. So that's generally like the criteria that we use to do that.
So this is the GDG forum, and I wanted to understand how many of you have tried agent development kit from GDG. It's called agent development kit, ADK. How many of you have tried it? Anybody tried? So what that is that there's something called MCP, Model Context Protocol, that allows agents to talk to each other, and Google's ADG is a way to have all of them talk to each other, and you can coordinate and create higher level applications that can have multiple agents integrate with each other, called MCP, which is Model Context Protocol, to get additional tools that are invoked on your behalf and get results back. So all those other cases like advanced DevOps, if you want to do, you can do those by integrating tools. So one tool can understand Kubernetes infrastructure. As long as it can connect, it can do. Another can understand Terraform. And another can do unit testing. Another with Docker, get the results. Like that. You can coordinate all of them and wrap it into a single application. And it's all prompt based. So you have a LLM that is deciding which tools to run based on what the user is asking. If you say, hey, go and change my Kubernetes node pool from 8 to 20, it knows which one to go against. Can I do this with just Kubernetes API, or do I need a Terraform instance because it's a node pool and I can't do it in Kubernetes, right? Whereas if you say, I want to make it 20 pods, it knows, oh, I need to go to Kubernetes instead.
Did you just architect that in your head?
I've written some MCPs and tried to use them. It's really hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like asking it to do something, it may call a
So-
function, it may not. It's like it doesn't do the same thing twice.
No, but
So-
there is still, I mean, of course, there is that risk, but that is where the system prompt has to be viable. And
Yeah.
some people spend a lot of time say, hey, don't hallucinate, don't go anywhere else. This is your rule. If you see a prompt like this, go against this.
So one of the things I'm really interested in right now is there's a lot of hype around AI, of course, and I'm curious, like, I mean, how many people's results actually meet the hype, right? Like, I'm trying to use AI every day. Suki, I know, he's written a couple apps with full AI, and he's a program manager, so I know he's gotten great results. It does seem to be the killer app is software engineering. But I mean, I gave a talk a couple months ago here about AI. I mean, it absolutely sucks for debugging. If y'all have tried to use it to like debug a problem, and I went into a little bit about why. It just has very limited context compared to like what you have as a human. Yeah, I'm just like I'm fascinated with like where AI actually is succeeding in the real world versus. I've experimented with different ones. I bounce around between ChatGPT, their new 4.1 stuff is decent. Gemini.
I like the one that I like the most is the Claude 2.0 Max GPT. If you use that has the most context, and again, the problem that you're asking is also important. So, for example, if it needs to find an issue in a Kubernetes infrastructure to look at logs, you can go look at the logs to look for anomalies, or you can, sometimes I run the entire thing and just give it the entire dump of 1 megabyte text, and you can be, hey, I know these are the various things.
Yeah, his example of uploading an entire log file, I can see it it'll pick needles out of a haystack pretty quick. And that's an actual test that they run.
Because otherwise,
They literally do a needle in a haystack test.
One thing I want to add is I was reading a blog like last month or so. Everybody is using AI. One of the best practices was, README files. Likewise, we have AI files where you define your system architecture, test definition, all the requirements, all the boundaries you want in terms of your tech stack. And that really helped that LLM to avoid going anywhere but the goal. So that was one of the best practices recommended when you're using agentic AI or AI into your code base. That is one of the good AI software engineer practice where if, like you structure your any code, right? You have root level versus the parent and child relation kind of thing.
Point, right? So that's an example where we're all collectively learning how to get the most out of AI, right? So we're figuring out like things like that where you can document your code. So the tool that I use will actually it'll actually help it'll run through your code base and document your AI for you, and then your code base for you.
Have you tried it, Chester? You've been asked you to document a README file
Correct.
with mermaid diagrams or draw.io. I
Right.
asked it to look at code bases that are completely foreign to me, and I gave 5 or 6 code bases together and put it all in my single folder and said, hey, how are these tools talking to each other? This is the use case I want. Can I implement it in
Yeah.
my
So I've done that, and it did improve results. But like I only learned about that a couple months ago. So like we're all learning
Right.
together. I can see in a DevOps setting where you have a markdown file that documents like here are all the services and here's how you access them. Here's the MCP
And-
you use. I could see that.
I think that is applicable almost everywhere, right? As let's say you're working four or 5 developers together in a software engineering team. You can define the way you name things. Let AI handle that. Hey, make sure I'm naming things properly. Hey, make sure these things are mandatory in there. My test coverage is 95%, and all the other things. He was saying something, I was thinking about something, but I forgot, but I'll rethink. But, yeah.
One thing, and to sort of counter to some of these though, is like Google has had this technology for 5 or 10 years, right? They had
Drop.
GPUs 10 years ago, right? And they invented the transformer model and all those things. Google does pretty good, but they are not killing every other company with greater software. That to me is one of the things that, like, if this really, because there's a lot of older companies that aren't using this at all, right? Or barely scratching the surface on it. Even us as a gaming company, it took us a year to get licenses for Copilot because of just whatever reason, right? It's just hard to get that in there. I still don't see like a company like wiping out another industry with these tools because they're so much better. That to me is one of those things that's interesting. Like I would think Google has had a head start on this ahead of everyone.
I would argue though,
In the development software engineering space, I do think that is that killer application. Like it's attacking there first, right? And it is disrupting. And I would say OpenAI was leading that. Gemini, Google, I would not sleep on Google.
Gemini
Yeah.
is great, but like, they should be using those tools to make Gmail and Maps and Android and all of those tools so much better than everybody else that we're not even considering not using Chrome.
Yeah. Think about one of the reasons though that coding, like email would be hard because it's so like, the words you use is so subjective and
Or even just the app itself.
Right.
I'm saying like they would be that much better at developing.
and they are implementing Gemini into Gmail. I haven't used it personally, so I don't know how well it works.
Using these tools to write all of their chat apps that they keep making and throwing their hands. That's where all of their time is generating new chat apps.
Companies that are just forming on a team whiteboard have a bigger opportunity than going and fixing and retrofitting everything.
Well, that's exactly it, right? You have a huge code base. These things still struggle to absorb a large code base and make positive changes to them.
The way I was explaining to my friend as well is, it's like electricity, right? The people who invented electricity had some ideas, but then the creativity of it happens. Oh, I can use electricity for a light bulb to begin with, but I can now do a computer with it, and then computer can do anything that it wants. And I mean, the ideas are coming from different sides and exploding. And that's where NVIDIA, as a company, is open sourcing, making it available to enable everybody to start adopting it. It's Cosmos DB, the whole Groot framework, how those agentic use cases become a reality with humanoid robots, self-driving fleet, all of those, right?
John, have you used Cursor on that large code base?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, really, at work, I can only use Copilot, but I've tried some other ones with some smaller code bases. So anyone tried Replit too, like their agent coding things?
Yes.
It does good for about the first 30 minutes, and then you get stuck on something, and it won't give up, and it just
Yeah.
gets stuck there. And you basically have to kill it and tell it to start over.
So, Suki, I'll come to you and just
Like,
like,
it's a rollback and restart, but there's sometimes it just gets stuck on like the same type of
I am curious. So in some of my research on some of these tools, Cursor is doing some innovative things on the client where they're indexing your code base locally, and then the agent is talking to that local database to like,
so like RAG or something on it.
yeah, it's basically built into the client. And so there's a ton of innovation going on at the client level. So if you haven't used all of the clients, you try Cursor.
Okay. They also have code rules, which is pretty good if you're pointing to specific documentation. So, for example, I have a file called standardelements.php, which is basically I'm trying to switch over everything to using much simpler formatting for just how the HTML is structured. And I want a very specific way. So I'm just always bringing that into the context. You could also just use code rules and say every time that you're asking a question about HTML structure, reference this, and it will actually just pull it up.
Yeah, that's similar to the code summary files that we were talking about. Like you can keep those text files locally. The client, the Cursor rules will do that. What were you going to say?
So, a couple of things that I would talk about. So a couple of things I would talk about. The first is, as far as use case goes, I am a testament of how AI has, I would say, 10x'd my productivity in terms of development. I have a technical background, but my day-to-day isn't like regular software development. But since discovering agentic coding, it's been amazing. Now, the one thing I would say is there are a couple of things that you need to know. I think it helps when you have a beginner's mindset, you get. And the reason is because when you're a typical developer and you're really good at what you do, it's hard for you to unlearn certain habits that you've already learned. I am approaching this from the perspective of a novice. So I throw things at it and I see incredible results. And whenever I see really skilled developers saying that they still haven't seen the hype of AI, it makes me question, like, what exactly are you guys talking about? Because I built like an app from scratch with a backend and all of that. And if I show you this app, you would think it was built by a senior developer. I kid you not.
Like Instagram/Meetup.
Yeah. You get. With it's a mobile app using Flutter. You get. Now, it helps if you have the fundamental. I was able to learn Flutter. I had the fundamentals and the likes. And I also have like a fundamental knowledge of software development and the likes. And I know that AI has certain weaknesses. For instance, if you have agentic AI go through your code base and just start writing several files for you and the likes, it has this tendency of just adding to a file over and over again. And then when it comes to doing a diff, sometimes it will just delete a chunk of code. You can overcome this by just making sure you're constantly refactoring and give it rules that, hey, best practice is that don't let my file exceed 400 lines. You start breaking your file into different modules, basically. And this was a huge hack. That's one. Secondly, so whenever you're deploying to Google's backend, they have these Firestore rules and what's it called? So they have the storage rules, they have the basic Firestore rules, basically. And with those rules, you can deploy them as a single file alone. You cannot break them apart. You can deploy them as a single file alone. But I was able to discover a hack that you can just use, you can write a JavaScript using the AI to break those rules down into different portions. And then have the AI just work on a single rule at a time. And when you're done working with all those rules, just have the AI, the script, merge all the rules into a single file and push. So I have a rules files of like over 2,000 lines. And I know for a fact that when I started initially, and I tell the AI to go update that rule because I added a new feature, it will just delete a bunch of shit and it's gonna break my this thing. But right now, because I know that I have my files segmented into different portions, I just tell you, okay, I need a rule for this new authentication. Go implement it. And to create a new file, which it updates JavaScript, and then it's able to update, to pretty much compile all the files into the same large file. And I never run into that mistake again. So that's one. Another thing is when it comes to large code bases, I think you guys need to check out this tool called Augment. So Augment is actually a plugin in VS Code. So they decided not to go the cursor route where they fucked out VS Code or go the, what's the name of this one that's open? No, not Client. No, not Rule. This one that OpenAI just bought, Windsurf. They decided not to go that route of like fucking VS Code. They decided to just integrate it into VS Code itself. And Augment, from what I've seen, I haven't tried it, but it's a $50 subscription on like Cursor and the likes. But from what I've seen online, they say it's really tremendous when it comes to huge production code base. That's exactly where their target is. They are trying to target production code, like huge chunks of lines of codes and the likes. And from the benchmarks that I've seen, it does a tremendous job, way better than Cursor and the likes when it comes to indexing your code base and the likes, because that's exactly what Cursor is mostly for people like me who are basically trying to vibe code and the likes, and that's why they've been able to capture like the consumer-facing side of things. But Augment is actually going for the enterprise, and they are going for huge code bases. So I think you need to look into those things to see the real impact that AI can actually have when it comes to actual production code. You get? So these are some of the things that I've noticed, and I just thought I should share.
That's awesome. Thanks. All right. I'm talked out, so any other questions? All right. I think we just do social. How much time do we have?
We're going to clear out at 8:30.
We have 15 minutes. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
that can actually go down. And, yeah, I mean, I've been involved in we also tried some conversion models together. That's really cool. No, you really merge the ways together because we're trained to them, so we have kind of uniform. We actually just expect the woodwork. Yeah, I would. Yeah, so much. So many. So like for example, they use the same approach to train all the models, so they have similar structures. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to overlap their use. Get a model that's the larger one that's larger one that's fast as you want. So about what's the now they're starting to reproduce. So that's something that's where people they lost the ball at some point, but now they're I mean, the benefits are there, but something from 0% let's say that it's going to happen anyway. Yeah. I hope it doesn't. I'm glad it doesn't.
Find the creator.
some foundation, and you expect sort of two, I'll say, there to say two to third dollars. Know themselves, and they get along, don't have regulations, that's as far as childhood wounds that are not moving. That's right. I'm still working. And then the last thing that we do is like it's really long. Okay, how much of that cost do you know? And all those things you described. Oh, I think it was also part of it, but I think neither of us were aware. Right? How old are y'all doing marketing? I'm yeah, I mean, I got married at 26. Getting married, or even about pretty much right out of grad school. You take somebody, and I don't mind saying this, but you take a 26-year-old that's from France, that has probably the maturity level of a 17-year-old that has never lived as an adult grad school good job. Yeah, and then also very good and like both bring it's just a problem. If somebody, which is how you create it's like, I'm looking for something that's unhealthy because I don't know. I'm acting out of like childhood needs that are not good, and they're resonating with self-care. Focus on the therapy or whatever, but Microsoft, and I was 3 or 4 years old and I just can't find a startup. Pretty good at getting in touch with the enterprise and the teenager, and then the weekend, and so it's like but like if you're somebody that they're always used to find somebody to be attached to, because they can't be alone, they need validation, they need approval, or they get external validation, or they don't get it. And then on the other side, you have somebody that's also insecure, and they're attached, and you can put them there, but they don't understand why they did that. It's like, they're just, in general, most people like stuff. Yeah, it's just like something. You know what, I like to work on it. So, looking back a little bit, there's also, so when she was broken, some things that were injury or trauma or some of the shit that you need to go through. I personally been on a journey of growth, fitness and everything. But also trying to figure out sort of why do I use we also have to work with the relationship. So there's like two individuals, but the other person has to be there, right? Yeah, there's because you decide to go and it's like, well, and that's the thing, right? And that's the thing. Why? Like, it's okay. I'm like, who are you? And if you go on their website, it's literally like Squarespace, like WordPress site. It's like, contact us. I'm not saying this is Compass Way. Yeah, but I'm waking up. No, exactly. Because for more, I'm hungry for that. And if we're not on the same page, that's not what you want. What I've become is not what you want. Then fine, you know what it is. But the concept of marriage itself is also very interesting. Because it's very outdated. I don't know, it was like an account and it was like 20K. In the old days, marriage was for life because life was 35 years old, for one. And it was kind of like arrangement. Never was it the way it is now, which is one person. No, you was just asking for just to see the UI so you can move all the UI. And actually, but we were like, whether you marry, divorce, divorce, a lot of people do, and I never understood that. Why? On the marriage three times. Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why did you do that? And then he was like, no, my investor is not the evolution of that person's life. We're going to expand it. We don't know what he did. And he was like, this happened before. But at some point, that breaks. But even if you are in a single marriage, that marriage is actually a series of it's not like I mean, more like social media entrepreneurs. So we were like, how do you find those that what this got out, man. And are you also looking for speakers? Yes. Okay. So I'm anyone that's in person, probably someone from my company. Thank you guys. People that are on the board, no. And so we took over the Flutter Austin stuff, and then I have a good friend. So happened to have a good friend that I've been running with, and moved out. So like you guys sort of been on a growth journey with me. Took on more since we've been on our own journey, but since we connected, we're like saying both. And then I've been asking the group that is on that meetup, like, do you guys want to see other stuff? Because like, still the people that want to see them. Introduce me to the group this year. Maybe there's 8 or 9 people. Yeah. In the group, that would be 6, 7, 8. Well, I mean, like, the leader used to be a pastor. He's not. There's spirituality involved. One thing we're seeing a lot, but it's not in this one. It's not. One thing we're seeing a lot is and actually, as soon as I started working with this verse, and a baby of it in spirituality, we have the word when the word God. So it starts to take a completely different meaning. It sort of opens your mind up to like it's not. We have these. It's not just the Bible tools of that's the one I go through every time. I'll just share one thing. Like a vendor agnostic. It's mind blowing. Good. I never expected that. So it's not the whole day vendor. So it's like a second real product. It's huge.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. You guys any visitors? That's fun. Yeah. I don't know, do we have to do anything with this Eli guy? Or did you guys
Well,
just,
the
did you just?
last time somebody came up.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm kind of waiting for, but.
But if nobody comes up, I mean, maybe leave it somewhere and just message them and say, hey, I left a stack of.
Yeah. Do you need one or not? You good?
I got one.